Thanks for tuning in. I'm Donnie, and in this video I'm going to share my thoughts on this Mototote M3 hitch carrier. I've owned this carrier for about a year now. I've traveled through 4 states and I've logged probably a couple of thousand miles with it. This is one of my favorite dirt bike accessories that I've bought, and I use it almost every weekend. In my opinion, this is by far the best motorcycle hitch carrier you can buy, but it's not perfect, and so I'm going to tell you the good and the bad. I'll start with the things that I really like about this carrier.
Number 1, it frees up the bed of my truck. One of the first questions people tend to ask when you're using a hitch carrier on a truck is, why don't you just load the bike in the back of the truck? Well, I typically have a lot of things in the back of my truck, including my tailgate tent, chairs, tools, riding gear, boots, a cooler, and in hot weather I also have a generator and fans, among other things. It's nice to have the back of the truck dedicated to things I don't want inside the truck, like sweaty boots and gear after a ride. I keep a cover on my truck bed to keep everything out of the weather. With the hitch carrier, I can keep the truck bed dedicated to all this stuff and I don't have to remove the cover. It's also easier to load and unload the bike, which brings me to the second thing I like about this carrier. Loading and unloading the bike is an easy one-person operation. The ramp has tabs that secure to the end of the carrier. Once I have the ramp set up, I attach a strap to the left side of the bike. Once the bike's on the carrier, I can connect the strap and adjust it so the bike leans slightly toward the truck while I secure the other strap and even things out. I throw a strap over the rear wheel and stow the ramp, and I'm ready to go. Unloading is just as easy. Set up the ramp, remove the strap from the rear wheel, loosen the front straps enough to disconnect them one at a time, and roll the bike back down the ramp. Number 3, the Mototote M3 is very well engineered with functionality in mind. It has 4 tie-down points and extra wide tie-downs at the front of the motorcycle for excellent stability when the bike is secured. It's rated for 500 pounds, so my 250-pound dirt scooter is an easy task for it. The bike is very secure on it. Number 4, the built-in ramp is longer than the ones that come with most other carriers, and some of the budget carriers don't have a ramp at all. This ramp is functional and lightweight. It stows when not in use with a hook and pin. It's easy to remove, use, and restow.
So I've told you the things I like about it, now I'm going to tell you the things I don't really like about it.
Number 1, the price. At $4.99, this thing isn't cheap. It's well designed and well built, and I guess you get what you pay for. For me, it was a little easier to justify the price as it's something I'm going to own and depend on for years. Before I bought this one, there was one that popped up on Facebook Marketplace and I tried to get it, but somebody got to it before me. So if I ever do decide to sell it, it still has value and there's a demand in the used market. Number 2, the weight and the bulk of the carrier. It can be awkward to install and remove from the vehicle. The carrier is around 54 pounds on my scale. The size and the weight of it might be a barrier for some because of the way you need to bend down and line it up with your hitch. You'll also need a fair amount of space to store it when you're not using it. Number 3, the hardware. The hardware the carrier comes with is standard steel and it develops surface rust over time. Mototote does offer a stainless steel hardware upgrade kit, but for the price of the carrier, it should come with a stainless steel hardware to start with, in my opinion.
And while we're talking about hardware, I'll mention the only problem that I've had with this carrier since I bought it, and that is this anti-wobble bolt.
The anti-wobble bolt works by pulling the hitch over to one side and basically clamping it against the side of the receiver. The socket head design of the bolt is critical because it fits through and is recessed into the hitch pin hole.
After only the 3rd or 4th time I used the carrier, I drove across some ruts at a riding area and the carrier got rocked side to side pretty hard. The bolt got slightly bent and the threads of the bolt got deformed. The nut wouldn't come off and I eventually had to break the bolt to get it off. It wasn't cross-threaded or over-tightened when I installed it. Mototote sells these bolts for $8 plus shipping, but I don't really trust these bolts anymore. Now I'm about to tell you my own solution to this problem, but I'm not recommending you do this. If you stray away from the manufacturer's recommendation, you should do that at your own risk. With that being said, I went down to my local hardware store. I bought some grade 8 bolts, 7/16 inch diameter, and I bought a couple of these 5/8 inch bushings, steel bushings. Then I took a step drill and I drilled out the steel bushings to 7/16 on the inside so that they fit over the bolt. And now the bushing serves the same purpose as the Allen head on the bolt that you get from Mototote. I made a couple of these to use as backups, but I haven't had any problems since I started using this as my anti-wobble bolt. I still think this is the best hitch carrier out there, and I would highly recommend it if you're considering one. I've included a link in the video description if you're interested. Be sure to subscribe to the channel for more review videos and hit that like button if you enjoyed this one. Thanks for watching.